area, and my family is a middle-class family who works very hard to teach their children all the good Christian moral values and to educate us about how we can love our neighbor. Yet, when I was living in Palestine and I was going to seminary right after high school, something happened in my life that changed my life forever. In my second year, and I know time is short, so I'm going to cut to a couple of stories to share with you, then I will sit down. Something happened in my life. After I finished high school, I went to the seminary to become a minister. In my second year in seminary, the Israeli soldiers came to our house about 3 in the morning in the winter, knocked on our door, and they arrested me. Now, I wasn't given any reason why I was arrested. They just took me, put a bag on my head, shoved me in a jeep, and drove for about 4 hours, then they put me in a small cell. 3 days later, they took me to another prison, where I was put in a cell for 54 days. Every day, interrogation, torture. Imagine this, for 54 days, I was never been permitted to take a shower, change my clothes, or my changing clothes, never been able to wash my face, cut my nails, shave my beard. I would be taken every day after the cell into torturing room, standing outside under the cold, under the rain, with a bag on my head, and they wanted me to confess that I did something. When I said that I did not do anything, they said, okay, just tell us that you saw somebody doing something. Of course, if you say that, then they're going to take you into a million other questions. I did not do anything. I did not confess to anything. But 54 days of torture in the Israeli prison, where I was denied my rights, my humanity. I was threatened that they're going to rape my sisters if I don't confess to anything, that they're going to destroy my house if I don't confess to anything. I decided I'm not going to confess to anything because there's nothing to confess. 54 days in that cell. Then at the end, they just opened the gate and said, you can go. Till this day, I have no idea why I was arrested. Until this day, I have no idea why I was released. But that experience left in me wondering why this is happening. How people can do this to each other. I mean, the torture, the beating, the psychological warfare that I was experiencing in the Israeli prison is beyond your understanding. In one time in the interrogation, I had 6 people beating me up, and one of them hit me in the back of my head that I was bleeding for 3 days, and I fainted, and they took me to a place where they stitched my head to stop bleeding. The reason I'm telling you this story, because I want you to understand what the Palestinian people go through on a daily basis. The Israeli prisons are full of people like me who've been arrested simply for one simple reason, that they are Palestinians. So we are guilty because we are born Palestinians. And that's good enough reason for the Israelis to throw us in prison and torture us, beyond your understanding, and denying our humanity and rights as people. The other story I want to share with you, one day as I was sitting watching CNN like every other American person, where we get all our good news from, and they had a story about Palestine. All of a sudden they show a house in Beit Jala where a rocket from a tank hit the house. Now, just to give you an idea, my sister's house is right here on the edge of Beit Jala, and the other side is the Gilo settlement, which is one of the largest settlements in Jerusalem that they're trying to include into Jerusalem borders to increase the number of Jews in Jerusalem. And in the middle there is a valley. So, and they have the tanks here, and the tanks start firing. And the story in CNN was that as my brother-in-law, who passed away now from cancer, went into his children's bedroom to take the kids to the kitchen to eat dinner, as they walked up, the rocket hit their bedroom. And thank God they were a little bit injured, but nothing serious. But their house completely was destroyed. As I was watching and hearing the story in CNN, and seeing the picture and seeing the house, I knew it's my sister's house. Of course, the first thing I jumped to the phone trying to call, and there's no answer, and you get so worried what happened. But finally, I got to my sister, and the first word she said to me, "Thank you." I said, "For what?" She said, "Your tax money destroyed my house and almost killed my children." On the rocket that she had in her house till this day, it says "Made in the USA." And funny things that sometimes when you see the rockets, that the Israeli children from the settlements go and rock them, it's a gift from Israel. So that's my conversation with my sister. And when I went to see her house, later on, there's barrels in her house that's full of shells from the Israeli tanks that hit her house. So this is the fact that that Israel is using excessive force with the Palestinians. And I just want to share a quote with you from a book that our pastor and who is the pastor of Christmas Lutheran Church in Bethlehem wrote. He said, "Our young people live without hope, but they have hope if they die, to go to somewhere better." So the people reach to a place where dying becomes a solution. Dying becomes an exit strategy from the pain and suffering they experience on a daily basis. Death becomes the release from all the pain and suffering that they witness on a daily basis. One of the most horrifying experiences in my life is seeing my grandfather being insulted by a young Israeli soldier who's not even yet 18 years old with a huge machine gun. In our culture, the elderly is like gods. You love them, you respect them no matter what. And to see my grandfather being insulted by this young person, it just makes my heart want to explode. But that assault and insult is carried on a daily basis. And in some areas more than others. For example, for the refugee camps, the excessive force is tremendous in versus in the cities. So I decided after I left the prison that I would commit myself to be engaged in exploring peace and justice. Because it is easy to hate. It is easy to point the finger, but it is extremely difficult to work for peace and justice. As you know, as I know, as we are witnessing. The moment we start working for peace and justice, people will attack us and harass us. And they will call us names like anti-Semitics, or they will call us other names that we are not being just. But this is the hard work. And as Christians, we are called to this hard work, and we know what Christ went through to achieve peace and justice for us as Christians with the cross. So I know that time is the essence, and I know we're supposed to finish at 12. So I just wanted to share with you just three things. One, I am here today to tell you there are people in Palestine and Israel who count on us to bring both governments back to the negotiating table and let them reach an agreement, because both people on both sides are suffering and they count on us to bring peace. Two, I want you to pray for the Palestinians, especially the Christians in the Holy Land. And I want to encourage you, as Father Elias Shakur said, when you go to visit Palestine, the West Bank, do not go visit the empty churches and the dead stones, but go and visit the living stones, the Christians who still live there, the living stones who still live there. Thirdly, I would like you to remember one thing, that we are all the body of Christ. And there is one part of that body that is suffering tremendously. And when one part suffers, all of us suffer. So as we come in the luxury of this country and we sit and relax and come to our churches and have coffee, let us always remember that there is one part